I know a bunch of people rightly think it's a bit stupid and a waste of money, and of course the IOC is dog shit, but I for one quite like the Olympics. I think it's good and nice to watch all those impressive athletes doing their sports well, with big jumps and throws and hits and such. But apart from rampant COVID cases in Tokyo during and following the Olympics, one thing that I hated was the good old commentators. In case it's not clear, I'm a true blue, salt of the earth,
fucking fair dinkum, fucking full-grown Aussie.
And unfortunately that means I had to bear, like my fellow Australians, the mesmerising stupidity of Channel 7's commentary team. They're not as bad as some countries, they certainly were able to ensure I had to watch many events muted, and this started right off the gun with the opening ceremony.
The Ghanese, how colourful again do they look and how happy are they?
But during the events themselves, I was struck by a handful of things. The infantilization of underdeveloped nations, or those that are typically not very successful, the fun of the USA's weird medal tally counting, a rising tide of brain rot back home, and the Americanism of talking about Australian athletes' hometowns. So about here, this disgusting, fetid video was going to go into the insane and immediate upswing in politically partisan parochialism in Australia during COVID. This was transposed from the usual political party stuff that's always present, onto a sort of state-based parochialism that isn't really relevant in this country, but it did take with it the brains of many people. But luckily, the libs posted cringe on the timeline, and every discrete example of Australian parochialism collapsed into a singularity. So instead of exploring why this makes sense, we'll flush away the thought of trying to make a researched video to determine where in Australia produced the most Olympian medal winners in Tokyo. We'll be counting both para and O medals, and every medalist in team sports or events will be individually counted. And because the impetus for this nonsense was commentators talking about hometowns, for the maximum stupidity we're only looking at place of birth, if the data is available. And Queensland simply blows the rest of the country out of the water, literally, because it's pretty much all swimming medals? Yes, it's a funny joke, I know. So Queensland is the Olympic champion of Australia with 17 gold medals, 14 silver and 22 bronze. Followed by New South Wales with 13 gold, 20 silver and 18 bronze. And then Victoria sits back in third with a measly 5 gold, equal with Western Australia, but 13 silver and 19 bronze sees that state far ahead of WA based on the minor medals. But by population, the standings are really shaken up, with Malawi absolutely running away with it, even if the data is incredibly unreliable. Because for some reason, the Bureau of Statistics doesn't have Malawi in the QuickStats country of birth census data from 2016, or at the very least I couldn't find it using the simple tool with which I could find all the other countries. So this video is actually just a plea to the Bureau of Statistics to include every single country in the 2021 census data, even if the numbers are very small. But we can go deeper. Looking at those hometowns directly, Queensland supremacy returns with Brisbane destroying the rest of the country with 11 gold, 8 silver and 7 bronze. The silver goes to Sydney with 5 gold, 7 silver and 11 bronze, barely beating out Perth on the minor medals, only having 1 silver and 6 bronze. The data for Australians born overseas isn't quite specific enough for looking at medals by population of Australians from specific cities around the world, so they're unfortunately going to have to be excluded from this final tally where we look again at the medals by population. And the little town of Nil in Western Victoria comes rocketing into first place with 1 gold per 1,749 people. Berry in South Australia takes silver with 1 gold per 4,088 people, just beating out Wellington, New South Wales in third with 1 gold per 4,519 people. And I just want to shout out Nulunbi in the NT that according to the 2016 census had an $8 median weekly rent, which is interesting. Yep, all of that nonsense preamble just for that. Bye.